Shalom, Yashalom, and stuff. Zos by giving all praise to Yahweh Hashem, Yahushai, Hashem, Kadash. Right, double honors to Apostle GMS, and honors to you brothers doing the work in truth, war, sincerity. I was meditating on the Vietnam War, and how when we went to war in ancient Israel, we would have gone into heathen lands, right, and then we wouldn't have taken our women with us, right? It's not lawful for a woman to be going to war with men, right? But in our law, that is, not in Esau's law. Esau will let anyone in his army. However, right, we would have gone to war with these other nations, heathen nations, and would have no women, but would have still wanted to have sex after the war was won. But so who would we be having sex with? Well, would have been having sex with the women that are in that land. So, for instance, when the Moors went and conquered Spain, right, when they went and conquered Italy, right, they would have, they would have just popped the women that were there. And in fact, you've got that book talking about 4 times a day. I think it's all Nature Knows No Color Line or something. I forget which book, right? But basically, when they went there, right, they would have been piping them women. Right, and then what would you have had? You would have had light skin, basically, quote unquote, what this world knows as mixed race women, right? Mixed race children, sorry. Right, but then let's say you have a son there, and then he, when the son doesn't come back with you or whatever, what have you, right? What women are around for him to deal with? Right, he can deal with one of the quote unquote mixed children, or he can deal with the natives of quote unquote of that area that he's in. So if it's talking about Spain or Italy, right, we would have basically had a guy came out so-called mixed race, so-called yellow. He would have dealt with another Spanish or Italian bitch, right? And then that child would have come out wider and wider and wider, and therefore now you have, Sicily, for instance, or you got a whole bunch of niggas, or you have big sways of Eastern Europe, say Romania, Albania, right? Most of the Romanians I've met are just straight up niggas. Most of the Albanians I've met are straight up niggas. You got the Kurds as well. A lot of the ones I've met are just straight up niggas, right? So it's talking about the confusion of face, right? And the Vietnam War is a modern example of such a thing, right? So we got a U.S. soldier searching for his Vietnamese son, right? This is from the BBC, and basically, let me read this. Jerry Quinn is one of 2 million American soldiers sent to support the South Vietnamese army in the war against the North. During the conflict, it is thought about 100,000 children were born from relationships between local women and American soldiers, right? So they say 100,000, but in this article here from the Smithsonian, right, basically says that you can't really know because, for one, having children out of wedlock, right, was very frowned upon. So they basically didn't allow such a thing to happen. Basically, they didn't allow it, but they didn't record the births, right? So there's probably a lot more. Right? And even in here, they basically talk about because it's a long article. It's a good read though. But it talks about how when there was basically at the end of the conflict, you had people coming from the north into the south, and the women in the south basically burnt the papers, right? Let me find it. It says mothers of Amerasian children destroyed or hid photographs, letters, and official papers that offered evidence of their American connection. My mother burned everything, right? So basically confirming the point that this number 100,000 here, that's probably an understatement, a gross understatement at that, right? So, and why is this? Why did this happen? Because you had a whole load of men who were sent out to war, and they had sex with the women that were there, right? And you look up the word Amerasian as well. It's used in reference for 3 wars, if I'm not mistaken. So you had I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can look it up, right? It says let me read it into this a bit. They grew up. Let me start So children of the Vietnam War, born overseas to Vietnamese mothers and U.S. servicemen, right? Yeah, let me look for a point that I wanted to make as well. Right, it says mention Amerasians and people roll their eyes and recite an old saying in Vietnam: children without a father like a home without a roof. Right? You know, so you need a father in the house, man. But yeah, when you read through this article, you can see that the disdain and the hatred that the locals, the full Vietnamese, the ones who are quote unquote, you know, proper Vietnamese or proper Americans, they didn't like the Amerasians, right? They didn't like them because your father, you know, was an American or whatever, what have you. They didn't, you know, they basically didn't fit into society when they were brought over to America. A lot of them just remained poor, or whatever, and basically they were just bullied all their, you know, all their lives, right? Whether in the U.S. or in what do you call this place, in Vietnam, right? But let me get into scripture now. So Deuteronomy 21:10 says, when thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and the Lord thy power hath delivered them into thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seized among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails. Right, so our Lord is basically saying, look, man, if you go to war and you see a chick you like, you want to take her, alright, cool, bam. You know, you know, take her with you, right? Shave her head off, pare her nails, right? And says, and she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after thou shalt go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife, right? So basically saying like, yeah, so basically you take her, then, you know, she shall cry for the people you killed, right? And then you know, after that, you know, she's ready for pluck, she's ready for plunder, right? Now imagine this same thing happening, but over in another country, right, where, you know, the soldiers may not, you know, I gave the examples of the Moors, because the Moors weren't following this, you know, the laws, you know, they were jailed, but they were still going off, right? But you know, that same sentiment of you go to war and you have sex with the locals, that's, you know, that's been happening throughout history, right? Which is why you gotta go on the spirit. You can't just look at a man and go, oh yeah, he's this, that, and the other, because you just don't know, right? And another example is Numbers 31. Points in 18, start from 13, says, and Moses and Eleazar the priest and all the princes of the congregation went forth to meet them without the camp. And Moses was wroth with the officers of the host, with the captains over thousands and captains over hundreds, which came from the battle. And Moses said unto them, have ye saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against the Lord in the matter of Peor. And there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that hath known man by lying with him. But all the women children that have not known a man by lying with him, keep alive for yourselves. Right, so this is when it was the Midianites, that went out to fight against, basically saying, look, man, you know, kill all the women, kill all the men. Right, and then, you know, just take all of the, you know, all the single ladies, you know, or basically all of the women that have never known a man, and then do as you wish with them. You know, that can be your concubine now, right? This is Acts 10 and 11, right? It says, and I saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descending unto him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners and let down to earth. Right, it says vessel representing the nation of Israel. 2 Timothy 20-22 says four corners. Israel was and is scattered across the four corners of the earth. You know, you've got some scriptures there, and you know that is true. You know, I named a few countries, you know, that we encounter here a lot in London, or rather our part of London anyway. Right, it says, wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts and creeping things and fowls of the earth, right? It says this verse represents the Israelites in a beast-like Gentile state of mind. You look at Jake right now, man. You know, it's no wonder that these people are shocked that we're the children of Israel, right? But then you got the Israelites that are you know, that believe that, for instance, you might get a white Jake, right? That white Jake will have picked up a lot of Edomitish customs, be doing things just like Edomites, eating his steaks bloody, right? Because he's grown up around that. But then you're around this guy, like, man, this guy's a fucking nigger, man. Why? Because he's taken on the customs of the heathens that he's round about. Or you might get a Jake that might be from Bangladesh, for instance, you know, or from Mauritius, right? And then they'll be, you know, following that, you know, those Islamic customs, man, which is going off, right? It says, and there came a voice to him, rise, Peter, kill and eat, right? It says, kill and eat. It says, teach. Proverbs 9:1-2 says, I go teach the Gentiles, right? Yeah, so we carry on. It says, but Peter said, not so, Lord, for I have not eaten anything that is common. You look at that word, common, koinos, common, belonging to generality, unhallowed, profane. Profane means outside of the temple. Right, so this is talking, it's not talking about meats, you know, it's not talking about actual food, right? It's just talking about, you know, it's a parable, if you want to say that, right? We carry on. It says Acts 21:28, it says, crying out, men of Israel, this is the man that teacheth all them that were against the people and the law and this place, and further brought Greeks also into the temple and hath polluted this holy place. And this is basically what I was trying to get at when I was reading this, you know, excerpts from here. And, you know, I could go into it, but I mean, look at me, that's a long ass article, man. You know, I don't want to just waste your time. You know, you can, you know, you read that in your own time. But what basically you get when you read this, the understanding, the sentiment that you can pick up is what I was saying before, but how the locals didn't like these American Vietnamese children, man. They didn't like them, right? Part of the reason was because of their fathers and all of that. But then you say, all right, cool. Why were they still not liked when they was in America? Nobody liked these people. Why? Because they were, in essence, you know, to put it, you know, there was in essence Gentiles to these people. It was like, you ain't from among us. You ain't one of us. Right, so imagine that same thing happening, but in the other direction, right? In terms of Israel, right? You would have had Israelite men, right, go to war in another place, or whatever, what have you, or were in captivity in another place, because Israel was in captivity under all nations, right? Imagine they was in captivity under some nations, had sex with some women, then 2, 3 generations down the line, you know, their children look like those women, and then now they're coming back trying to go into the temple, right? But they, you know, the guys then weren't being spiritual, right? They weren't looking and saying, oh, but they're Jakes anyway. They were just casting them off straight away. So you ain't one of us. Get the fuck out of here, man. You know, you ain't one of our people. Right, just like how these children here, they're like, you ain't one of our people, fuck off. Right? This is Deuteronomy 4:27 says, the Lord shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither Yahweh shall lead you. Right? So Israel was scattered among all the nations. You know, I mentioned some places. You got you know, I've met a couple Jakes from Mauritius. I've met you know, Jakes from Bangladesh, Jakes from Turkey, Jakes from quote unquote Kurdistan. I mean, that's not even really a nation. You know, I've met I've met Jakes from literally all over the world. I saw one of my what do you call it, geezer I used to know as a Lithuanian Jake, man. Niggas cold at basketball, man. Man, he used to cross me up, man. And the thing is now he's playing what do you call it? He's playing for a proper team and that, man. I don't know too much about basketball. I mean, it's not NBA or anything, but he's still, rocking it. And you see pictures of them. He's always around Jakes, all around niggas. Met Moroccan Jakes, right? It says Deuteronomy 28:64 says, "And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people," right? Because at the end of the day, it was part of the curses. As Apostle bring out, man, looking like a heathen. That's really a curse, man. That's really a curse, and especially if you look like the so-called white man, that's the biggest curse. When you read Numbers 12:10, talks about how, you let her not look as one dead. Right, so from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which is what we've done. Like I said, those, the Moors, for instance, they were worshipping, they're also Muslims, and right, then you had, you see all the Jakes. So there you got Jakes in China that be into Buddhism. Right, you got Jakes in Nigeria that be heavy into Islam. Right, like I said, Jakes in Turkey, they'll be heavy into Islam. Right, it says Isaiah 11:11. It says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again for the second time to recover the remnant of his people which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea." Right? Salakia. Right? Basically saying, look, Israel's scattered all over the world, and this is where they're at. They're in all of these places. Right? Ezekiel 36:24 says, "For I'll take you among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land. And then I will sprinkle clean water from you and shall clean you from all your filthiness, from all your idols will I cleanse you." Right? So basically all of the wicked, abominations, all the wickedness that we've done as heathens, will all be cleaned. Right? And the Lord will basically take us and make us back into who we're supposed to be, right? In that time, basically. And then this is the new covenant. It says, "And a new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put in you, and I'll take away the stony heart out of your flesh and give you a heart of flesh." Basically mean we'll never sin ever again. Right? Basically, it says the glory, and the hope, especially for you, Israelite foreigners in that. Right, it says 1 Corinthians 15:52 says, "In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed." Right, so basically we'll get new bodies, man, new spiritual bodies, and new brothers that look like heathens, and all Israelites that look like heathens. Right, they'll, shed off that heathen-looking skin, man, and they'll look like the Israelite that they're supposed to be, that they are. Right. So that Lord's all you've been edified, and like I said, it was just something, because this is an example here of what happens when men go to war, right? Men go to war, and then they have me. Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! That's a little Tiger Woods in the making, man. Right. So that Lord's all you've been edified. And yeah, I'm gonna say shalom.